Hey, listen, if you in your car, if you with your family, if you in the backyard having a cookout, I need you to turn this all the way up, cause it's about to go live. Woo! This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the show can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the show can't take it away. See the vibes, I know you see the light and how it shines. I'm a child of God, why you look surprised? I'm super fly, I won't apologize, cause I won't get favor, I got flavor. Salt of the earth, I can't lose my savor. Jesus Christ, yeah, that's my savior. Eyes on the cross, I don't see no hate. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Yeah, yeah, I once was lost, but now I'm fine.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Episode number 173 of the Motivation Moments podcast. I'm your host, Gregory Bloomfield, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, if I haven't said it already, happy Thanksgiving weekend. I hope that you had an amazing weekend with your family, friends, and loved ones. I hope that gluttony didn't overtake you, and if you did, well, you know what? The gym is waiting for you on Monday. Praise God. Hey, you know, it's a good thing to be with family and friends, and I'm so happy to have my wife, my children, my friends, my family all across the United States, Canada, and everywhere that I have family, England as well. So I praise God, and I'm very grateful and thankful that I have health, that I have family, that I have a job, and that I have you, and I have this podcast. So thank you so much for being a part of my life and a part of this ministry. And if you enjoy this ministry, if you enjoy this podcast, and it's your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to click the like button, excuse me, and also to subscribe to the channel, share it out as well. This is going to be an informative and very important episode, little different from previous episodes, but on the same theme as my faith and the law. So if you're on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time, please, thank you, Zenja. Please put where you're watching from, and also wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. In fact, say happy Thanksgiving to everyone who's watching in the community. So let's keep the love and the energy going. If you're on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Don't forget to follow the channel. We're approaching 300 in YouTube. We're approaching 350 on Facebook. So we want to keep growing as we are continuing to do God's work. I was blessed on Friday to witness a program from one of our supporters who was also a guest on the show earlier this month. Her name is Regina Nunnally, and she had a program, and I'm going to show you the flyer right now. It's this flyer on a holiday hug, a virtual hug. There are many people that are very sad and very depressed. They lost a loved one, a divorce, or something happened to them tragic, so the holidays are not the same. I just want to let you know that this program was such a blessing from the speaker and the host from the Restoration Church and from the Florida chapter. I hope I don't remember the chapter name, but it's basically Zeta Phi Beta. I want you to keep this in mind. I believe there's going to be another one of these programs in December, and I will definitely advertise it here. But just keep in mind of the people that you deem are strong. They might be the one going through the toughest time during this holiday season, and that person might be you. I want to let you know that you're not alone. There's help out there. There's counselors, there's therapists, and most importantly, there's friends, and most importantly, even more important, there's Jesus Christ that can be closer to you than a brother, even when there are hard times in life that you can't understand. I know for myself, someone who's gone through a divorce and somebody who's had to do the holidays by themselves, it can be a very tough time. But I'm here to let you know that you're not alone. You don't have to go through things alone. And stuff like the virtual hug and stuff like this podcast, a church family, connection to friends in community can be the greatest outlet for your mental health. So the only way that we can get through different things and to cope in this tough world, in this tough season, is to talk and share and be transparent, even if you're afraid to do so. So please keep that in mind during this holiday season, because from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve is very tough for many people. But with Christ, all things are possible. So I just wanted to encourage you today with that information. We also have, through the Sister Pamela Publishing, which is our online company, we have our Black Friday special. So everything that is on our website, every book, every t-shirt, every hoodie, every mug is at least 20% off. So if you go to our website, and this helps finance and fund this ministry, sisterpamelapublishing.com. If you go there, you'll see that every item is marked down. Up until Wednesday, December the 3rd, start your holiday shopping by supporting a Black-owned, minority-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned, Christ-filled online small business. So get your shirts, get your mugs, get your books, including ebooks. Ebooks are the greatest, easiest gift. You just buy it and email it to someone, make sure they have Kindle, and that it can be your holiday online stocking stuffer. Sorry, I misspoke. So keep that in mind at sisterpamelapublishing.com. We have a very amazing guest that is going to be with us today as we continue with our theme, My Faith and the Law. And his name is Attorney Arnold Lizana III. Now, this gentleman here is Black history personified. He is the great-grandson of T.J. Huddleston Sr., who was a prominent African-American entrepreneur and community leader. who is famous for building the first Black hospital in the state of Mississippi, and who was also proudly member of the founder of the African-American Sons and Daughters Grand Lodge. Attorney Lizana taught employment law as an adjunct professor at Western New England University School of Law and as an adjunct professor in Bay Path University Master's Degree Program in Higher Education. He's worked for, he was the Associate Vice President of Diversity and Equity at UCONN Health, that's the University of Connecticut. He oversaw the EEO compliance, strategic planning, and affirmative action reporting. He also is, well, he currently is a trial lawyer, and he also has his own firm in the state of Georgia, in Atlanta. He has his own law firm, and he is also the author of the best-selling book, which we'll show on the screen, Workplace Jujitsu, How to Protect Yourself from HR, meaning human resources. Here's the book right here. You can get it. We'll let you know how you can get this book. This is very important for those who may be having problems at their job, right? I can't say that that's me right now. That was me at previous jobs, but I can say that that's not my case right now because I love where I work. But if you don't, and if you're having conflicts, then you want to talk to this man and you want to get his book, Workplace Jujitsu. So we're going to have a conversation about employment law and what you can do and how human resources may or may not be your friend. So without further ado, I want to bring to the stage, first time on the Motivation Moments podcast with episode 173, my friend and brother, Arnold Lizana III. Yes, sir.
What's good? What's good, Brother Gregory?
How are you, sir? What's going on?
I'm terrific. Terrific. Good to see you, man. And I thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, man. And congratulations on the book. And congratulations on the firm. And I've known you for many years, lost touch with you, and you came back in my feed saying, hey, guess what? I wrote a book.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. It has been quite some time, man. I think the last time we really connected was back in Boston when I used to be a trial attorney at the EEOC. Yeah. One of the few, I mean, it's great when you first start in your career to meet some fellow Black professionals who give you perspective and had your back. And I remember you were one of the solid ones. I appreciate that. I regret that we lost touch, but now we're connected again. So
yes, sir.
Good
yes,
thing,
sir. I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. It's like, it was a pleasure working with you. And just for the audience, we actually did some professional work together. Mm-hmm. And we kept in touch from that standpoint. And then we lost touch. Life got in the way. And it was kind of like a really dope reuniting because he said, yeah, I got a book. And I said, I have a show. Let's merge them together like peanut butter and chocolate. Amen. Somebody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So the title of your book is Workplace Jujitsu, and it's talking about human resources. And many people I know personally people who are HR business partners and HR business managers, and they do solid work. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I noticed in your book as I was reading your book is that you have a different perspective on human resources. You talk about the human resource department, and I really need everybody who's watching to chime in and give their feedback as well and interact with us. You say that is human resources the protectors of employees or the corporate gatekeepers? Do they work really for the benefit of the employee, or do they work for the benefit and the interests of the company that formed the department? And I found that as a very interesting perspective. I never really thought of it that way, but it's very true because many human resource departments don't work for the employees. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk to you about, in simple terms, what is your perspective in terms of human resources, friend or foe, or a bit of both?
Yeah. So, brother, I'm glad you asked the question that way, because I think it gets, I think, one of the fundamental misperceptions that people may have about what I'm trying to say and what the book is about. So yes, it's a very provocative title, but at the end of the day, the book has some information that I think is useful for employees, union leaders, and HR professionals, because it's really addressing the topic of ethics in HR. So what is the appropriate way to approach HR and HR human resources work in a manner that is fair and equitable for everybody involved? And here's the truth. It's not choosing sides, because most HR persons who are experienced in HR, they know better than most what some of the challenges are with treating employees fairly and equitably. And many HR persons have been the recipient of some of the common sort of HR tactics that I talk about, because what happens when HR turns on the folks who work for HR, right? So I think many HR professionals are trained and oriented to HR with the idea that they can provide great service to employees and make sure that everyone is protected, make sure that all the laws and the policies are followed. But I think after any significant period of time, they start to realize that there are some pressures that I think HR professionals are dealing with, which force them at some point to make a choice between doing what's best for the company and what's best for the employee, to the extent that there becomes a conflict. Now, as long as there's alignment with what's best for the employee and the company, and the HR, they tend to call it straight down the middle, because there's no need to choose sides. Mm-hmm. But the reality is we work in environments where employees' interests sometimes conflict with what the company is trying to achieve. And 9 times out of 10, if the HR official has to choose between doing what's best for the employee and the company, they'll side with the employer for a number of structural reasons. First of all, being that the company literally pays them, right?
Yeah.
Who's signing your checks, right? If you got to choose between doing what the person signing your check wants you to do and the employee, that they're in a difficult position. Who's doing their performance evaluations? Who evaluates the HR director or HR representative? Someone in company leadership, right? So oftentimes, if there's a conflict that HR professionals have to resolve, is sometimes doing what's best for the employee versus preserving their job, right?
Yeah.
So if they have to choose themselves over doing what's best for you, it's not even a close call for a lot of them. So there are a lot of HR professionals who take ethics seriously, and the industry ethics, the way the HR associations that most practitioners are a part of, do have a high standard for making sure that employees are treated fairly and served equitably. It's just when the rubber meets the road in terms of what actually happens in the workplace, there are all these other pressures that introduce new factors in which oftentimes don't work in employees' favor. So it's not a cookie cutter answer I can give you. It will certainly vary from workplace to workplace, but for the most part, the general trends that I've seen over a career of over 25 years dealing with these kinds of matters, both on the employer and the employee side, I'm attempting to address in the book the structural forces that oftentimes lead an HR professional to side with the company. And that's what I'm trying to get folks to appreciate. I want employees to appreciate it so they can know how to navigate the workspace and be more effective in advocating for themselves and protecting themselves. I want HR professionals to have that same information, because oftentimes the ones that really want to do the right thing are often outnumbered by folks who would prefer to do whatever is demonstrates loyalty to the company. And so those HR, those conscientious HR professionals have to learn how to protect themselves too. So, so there's a message for everybody here.
I just find that especially now in this year of our Lord 2025, there's a huge dichotomy and push and pull between the corporations and labor. There's a lot, especially in this climate under this, I don't even want to call it an administration, I'll call it a regime, where DEI is gotten rid of and union people are anti-unions and anti-organizing and anti-labor. And when there's so much favor for corporations to be treated as people as opposed to just legal structures, and when billionaires seem to be, if you're a billionaire, you get to do whatever scrupulous things you want to do to employees. I'm thinking of various companies, which I won't name right at this moment, maybe I will later. But it's like, it seems like the little guy is always getting squashed. So in your practice, since you, in your firm, you're writing from the perspective and advocating for the employee, would you advise, or when is it a good time for the employee who might be considered, in lack of better terms, the little guy, the little lady? When is it a good time to actually go to HR for any problems? And when is it not a good time to go to HR for issues that involve labor? Is it better to just quit and leave? Is it a better thing to just, to get outside counsel like yourself? Is it better to just, play the game? Or when is it advantageous for an individual to go to seek help from HR? And when is it they got to go through other means or leave?
Yeah. So the short answer is it depends, right? And the longer answer is exactly what I'm trying to address in the book, is how to make those assessments about when it's time to go to HR, when it may be time to plot your exit strategy from the company. And that will first require an employee to get a good sense of what they're dealing with, what's the terrain they're operating on, understanding the power structure of the organization and what the likely outcome might be if of them complaining directly or going to a lawyer first, or maybe going to the EEOC first. So the book is about trying to help you understand all the factors that you should consider in making that decision and how to weigh them carefully. Now, sometimes
before you continue, I'm going to ask Alana if she can put the image of the book up as well, so people can see what it looks like. So continue. So this is the book, Workplace Jujitsu: How to Protect Yourself from HR, from Professor. I forgot to say Professor.
Yeah.
Professor Arnold Lizana III.
I appreciate that. So look, I'm glad you put the title of the book up because it helps me address what you're talking about. All right. So the employee often is the little guy, and that's why you see a little guy on the front of the book cover, because you're in a situation where there's a serious imbalance of power and influence, right? HR, when I talk about HR, I make clear in the book that I'm really talking about both HR and management collaborating together. So, and in most instances, employees are at a severe disadvantage in terms of the power structure in the workplace. And the reason why we use the analogy of jujitsu is because the martial art of jujitsu is specifically designed to help a person defend themselves when the deck is stacked against them. The art assumes that your opponent is stronger and faster and has more resources. And the techniques to defend yourself take all of that into account. And you can overcome this severe disadvantage if you have a good understanding of how leverage works, how balance works, redirection of energy. And I apply those principles in the workplace so that folks can understand that just because you're the little guy doesn't mean you can't come out on top in many of these situations. Because there are also some advantages to being little, and you gotta take stock of that. Oftentimes you can be more agile in how you decide to address a situation, because you don't have to ask for anyone's permission to do it other than yourself. Right. And HR may have mechanisms and systems that they have to go through where their responses are going to be much slower. So so you're trying to figure out what advantages and disadvantages you may have based on an assessment of your situation. Then you put together a plan to figure out how to address your problem. It doesn't always require you to call an attorney either. And much of the information in this book is so that you can kind of work through that on your own. But there may be a time where it's strategically sound for you to get some legal advice, or maybe to file a complaint at an external agency. But I wouldn't say that that's something that people always need to do. It's really more of an option of last resort. But based on your assessment of your work environment, it may make sense to do it earlier rather than later.
Could you give an example of like where it would make sense with the fact pattern? I mean, and you can be very brief with it and not disclosing any of your class, but like a situation where it made sense based on this fact pattern to go to EEOC or go to an outside agency, and when did it make sense to not go that route and just have a conversation with HR?
Got it. And that's a great question. And the book actually gives a lot of concrete examples using sort of stories and vignettes to help you understand when would be a good time to go to HR and when would be a good time to circumvent that and go directly to an attorney. But one of the things is, you want to take stock of what you know about the company. If you've been there 3 or 4 years, you've seen how HR operates, right? If you know, just based on your personal experiences and maybe talking to your colleagues, that HR isn't particularly responsive to complaints, or maybe HR has a tendency to, turn any complaint you might make on you, right?
In other words, they're the fun police, like in the show The Office.
Right. Right. Exactly. So that's useful information. Then you may know it's probably a futile exercise to bring your concern to HR. You may decide to do it anyway for purposes of documenting your concern, but you don't want to be disillusioned as to whether or not they're actually going to do anything about it. Right. So, so that may be a situation where you may contact counsel and decide what you need to do to file an external complaint. Sure. One of the things that the principles of jujitsu that we cover is how to use leverage, right? Leverage has everything to do with having good information about how decisions are made, having a good understanding of how the policies operate in the company. And then sometimes leverage is actually filing your complaint. Many many companies won't really respond to your complaint until you actually file an external complaint. Sure. And that's because the response is often guided by a risk assessment, a basic cost benefit analysis. And if they believe that there's a low cost to ignoring you, then they will ignore you, right? Yes. If there's a high cost to ignoring you, then that's a different that stimulates a different response. It can be very costly to ignore someone who's just filed an external complaint with the EEOC, because now you have the federal government preparing to do an investigation, and at some point they may have to produce documentation to show that they were responsive. So guess what? They become very responsive all of a sudden, right? So
is that still the case now? Because we are like in bizarro world right now, and a lot of federal agencies are being eliminated, or they're so short-staffed on purpose that they can't get, the federal government cannot advocate and will not advocate for different situations. For example, like if there's a discrimination case, I know ultimately with the elimination of DEI, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but I just wanted to know, in this current climate, is that still an effective method to go to the EEOC or any federal agency for any workplace complaints?
Again, the answer is it depends, right?
Okay.
So the EEOC is an agency, as far as I can remember, and I've worked for them for 10 years, that's always been understaffed and under-resourced, right? So in terms of their enforcement activity, there have been some limitations on their ability to conduct prompt investigations, and a lot of companies who have been around for quite some time know that, right? They know that the EEOC doesn't have the most vigorous approach to enforcement, just on the resource side, right?
Like the IRS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So some sophisticated employees will make a calculation to ignore you anyway, even if you file something with the EEOC, because they don't think the EEOC is going to do anything, right?
Yeah.
But that's a risk that they take, right? And some of them are willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
Some are even willing to ignore the EEOC. Because the EEOC has limited resources, I've not seen a situation that I can recall where an EEOC has really made an employer pay a steep price for failing to respond to the EEOC, right? So a lot of employers know that, and because of that, they just ignore the EEOC, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you can't go to file a lawsuit in federal court without filing with the EEOC first. You need a permission slip from them in order to go into court. So as a matter of process, you have to file with the EEOC anyway. So you don't really lose anything by filing with them if you have a complaint that's been ignored internally, because it's just part of the process. But it does, I must say, I work a lot with the EEOC in the Atlanta area, and they have the same resource challenges as any other office at the EEOC. But my experience is they make an effort to try to do an investigation and do it thoroughly. And so I think in this area in Atlanta, employers understand that, and they're more responsive because they know the EEOC is more actively involved.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to ask the audience if there's anyone who's, for the folks who are watching, whether live or if they're watching this on repeat, what's your experience? Has anyone had any experiences where they've had to file a complaint at something that's going on in their job, such as, picking on sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, any form of discrimination, whether it's of your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual preference, anything that you've gone through? What are your experiences? Did you find that it was just you filed the complaint, but it made more sense to just quit? Or did they go see it through and there was real change in that employment situation? What was your experiences? Drop those in the comments while we're dialoguing. We're here with attorney and professor Arnold Lizana III. Like and share and subscribe to this channel, as we're having a really good conversation in regards to employment law and his new book, Workplace Jujitsu. Let's talk about discrimination and diversity. You did a lot of work with DEI. One thing I hate is when people say reverse racism. The reverse of racism is equality. So when people say, so I hate when the dominant society says that's reverse racism. That it's either it's racism or it's not, right? We're talking about corporate DEI programs. A lot of companies, such as, I'll say it's public, it's like Target, that said, okay, we're gonna pull back on our DEI programs. And you're in Atlanta, so I'll say this: Pastor Jamal Bryant out of the New Birth Church and other leaders did a campaign against Target, and it has definitely affected market share to the point where I think that the CEO or the chairman of the board, whatever, had to resign. They've taken a huge financial hit, and they're even thinking about going after Dollar General and other companies. Obviously, that one situation was effective. Okay. From your perspective as an attorney, is that the method, even though it was effective, would that be a method that you would suggest for, once again, the little guy? Or would you say to that individual, maybe the rah-rah protesting in front of the store or an economic boycott may not be the best way, but there are other ways? What would you recommend to somebody who came from Target and said they were discriminated? And what would be the first thing that you would do if they came to your office and said, help me navigate through this? What should I do?
Yeah, so when anyone comes to my office, I have an intake process that's pretty much the same for everyone. And the goal is to try to figure out what's going on, whether there's anything problematic going on, and whether or not there's enough evidence that we could garner to show that there's a violation of the law. Now, oftentimes people come to me with very credible stories about what they've experienced, but very little evidence to show that these things actually occurred, and that can be challenging. And so there are always some limitations on what you can accomplish with an individual case, because it's going to be grounded in the individual context and evidence associated with that context, right?
Yes.
So I'm a big advocate that we need to do all of it. We need to do individual cases as they come forward, and the mass protests, right? Because there are economic levers that get companies to change, and then there are legal levers, right? Quite frankly, the legal levers take a long time, right? So if someone files a lawsuit, they're going to be in it for 2 or 3 years, and then you may or may not get the result you want because the decision is left up to a judge and maybe a jury, right? And there are a lot of reasons why you can lose a case that have nothing to do with the merits of the case, right? Just the process can be challenging, right? So what Pastor Jamal Bryant is doing, and other leaders who are leading these boycotts and other sort of collective efforts to hold corporate America accountable, is very important, because the leverage that they're using, jujitsu outside the workplace, is affecting their bottom line. That's the only thing that companies really understand and appreciate, is when their bottom line changes, right? They fired the CEO because their bottom line was hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly. Badly.
Right.
Badly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. Now, even though it was clear to me even before the administration gave folks the cover to walk away from DEI, right? There was a lot of companies that were already pulling back, right?
Yeah.
And it's because they really didn't believe in it, all right? A lot of the DEI work, and I've seen this up close and personal as a person who's worked in executive levels at DEI. Many companies genuinely have a commitment to it, and then a lot of companies have a cosmetic commitment to it. They just want the appearance of being concerned about it rather than actually being concerned about it.
And I'm actually, Arnold, I'm glad you're saying that. I'm sorry to, but it's like, I'm actually glad you're saying this. And and one of the greatest misconceptions that I find with DEI, I'm going to ask you to define what that is, because a lot of people feel that diversity, equity, and inclusion equals quotas.
Right.
When you have somebody saying, when you have someone like a Charlie Kirk, the late Charlie Kirk, saying, if I saw a pilot and he happened to be a black male, I would question, I'm paraphrasing, I'd question whether or not he truly was qualified to fly the plane. I would be concerned. Or black women don't have the same IQ, and you got the job because you took it from a white man, right?
Right.
Let's dive into that and let's define clearly for my non-melanated audience what exactly is DEI and what it's not.
Yeah. So what DEI is not, it is a quota system, not in the way that it's been approached in corporate settings for the last 10 to 20 years. And the folks who are interested in maintaining the vitality of white supremacy will collapse those conversations and those concepts because it serves their purpose to equate DEI with quotas and affirmative action. Affirmative action is a legal tool that is, up until recently, was constitutional and legal to take all affirmative steps to remove barriers to progress for historically oppressed groups, right? Which for a while, no one disagreed that was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But now we're in a different environment, right? Companies don't have to disguise their displeasure with these kinds of programs now because the administration has given folks license to be open about it, right? So it shouldn't surprise people that companies were walking away from DEI. They were already preparing to do that anyway, but they got a permission slip from the administration to do that. Now, DEI in its essence really is, let's take an example of DEI in hiring and promotions. What the basic goal is to make sure that the pool of candidates that you're choosing from is diverse, right? Before you start making decisions, right, about who's selected, who gets to advance. You're an accountant, you know how math works. If you start with a pool of folks that is not diverse, you're guaranteed to not have a very diverse selection process, right? Because there's nobody in the pool, right? So most DEI professionals who operated at my level, our goal was to make sure that you started with a diverse pool, all right? And therefore, everyone would expect that if you have a diverse pool, it would result in a diverse outcome, right? Unless there's something else going on during the process. And that's what you try to figure out, right?
Yeah. And even diversity even starts even in the recruiting process. It's like that's one of the things, like the firm that I work for, and I'm not going to say the name for purposes of the show, is I can say I'm very proud to say that they seek out diverse candidates even in their high school and college pipeline, even before they get. A lot of it is just knowing that for diverse communities that this opportunity does exist, and here are the qualifications to get there, right? It's not just picking a random black or brown person who can't add, who doesn't have math skills, and throw them in a position to fail just to have a black body in the cubicle. That's not DEI. That is quotism. And let me say this even further. I'm against quotism, right? I'm all about DEI and giving people opportunities.
Well, let's be real about this, all right? Quotas don't really work for us, right?
No.
Whether you disagree with them or not, there's always the expectation when you hire a person of color that oftentimes they have to be better than everyone, right? So this idea that you're just hiring someone to check off the box that deals with the diversity component, right? But then there's the equity component. What do you do with the person once they're there, right? Yeah. Are they treated equitably? Or are they included in the process? So this numerical, or I would say demographic diversity of making sure you have all the right people in your pool, and maybe you hire a diverse staff, still doesn't deal with the problem as to whether or not they're treated equitably once they're hired. Correct. Right? Are they held to the same standard? Oftentimes in my experience as a plaintiff side employee, I see that people of color, women, minorities are held to a higher standard, right? Which is not consistent with this quota argument, right? So I just think it's kind of bogus, but that's been my experience.
That's a good point. I mean, it goes back to something that my parents always used to say to me is Jamaican immigrants. They always say, as a Black male in the professional world, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. I even tell my children that you have to, because there's inherent, you can proliferate all the laws you want to bring equity in the workplace, in academics, in all these different things. But one of the things that you cannot proliferate or you can't stop is the way people think.
Right. Exactly.
So you can tell people you have to be diverse, you have to be fair, but it doesn't mean that they like it. When they will do microaggressions, passive aggressive behavior, culturally insensitive jokes, exclusionary tactics, and then act like, I hate to use a term, but I'll say it, like Karens. When you pull back and then they feel threatened, and then they call HR on you when you call them out on their foolishness, all kind of stuff. So it is a challenge for professionals of color to, let's just put it this way. The problem didn't end when Obama became president.
Absolutely not. No, it did not. In some ways, it was exacerbated. So, because now that everyone's thinking we live in a post-racial society, people want to discard all the guardrails, right? Yeah. So, the different treatment that I'm seeing most often in my cases is that people of color there's a lower margin of error that is allowed, right? Yes. So we don't get the chance to make that first and second mistake, learn from it, and grow and continue to progress in the organization the way some of our counterparts do, right? And we're not getting that early mentorship from individuals who take a personal stake in our progress, right? And so we're not getting that like our counterparts, and that severely affects our ability to progress in the organization. So individual discrimination cases can address that when there's evidence to address it. But I think the better approach to dealing with it is, mass and collective action to hold corporations accountable, because as a community, the Black community and people of color in general have a tremendous amount of leverage in our spending power. Yes. And the choices that we make about who we do business with oftentimes speak much louder than an individual lawsuit. So
I couldn't agree more. Sometimes, and I saw this on Roland Martin's show. He made that exact point, right? Is that you have to kind of do both. And sometimes boycotting a company or a corporation should not be the first thing. You should engage with them, talk with them, ask to meet with the board, bring information, bring people like yourself as attorneys to represent one case or a class action of cases. And then once you feel that you're not getting anywhere, there's no progress, then start the economic boycott or whatever, advertising or whatever it may be, or bring promotion or awareness to the treatment of that particular employer to the employee, or not respecting not only just employees, but also customer bases, the diversity of vendor pools, the diversity of, staff, all those types of things. Or even why is it that there's all the people of color at the bottom and there's no mid-level management that are of color, or representative groups, or people in upper management, all those types of things. So,
brother, you are absolutely right. That is the whole message of the book, is that we have to be strategic. We cannot afford to wing it. Okay.
I read it. Can you tell I read it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a good read. It's a good read. Let's put that picture of the book up again. So we have Workplace Jiu-Jitsu by Professor Arnold J. Lizana III. And I want you to be able to get your copy as well. We'll, at the end of this show, we'll give you a link as to how you can order this book and support my brother here. And once again, it's as a fellow author, it's really important, especially in this season, to support independent authors, and particularly of color, as we're putting our work and knowledge and information out there. It may be out to help somebody who may be in a crossroads, who don't know what steps they can take if they're going through some sort of discrimination situation or some unfair treatment, or somebody that you know in your family, especially with closing out the end of this calendar year. You may need a new job, you may need a new start, but you want to be able to do things the right way, the legal way, and the way that's best representative of your interests. So in chapter 9 of this book, with the few minutes we have left together, chapter 9 of the book, it's called Exit Strategies and New Beginnings. So there are cases when you need to engage, cases when you need to protest. It's like, what's that country song? You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away,
know when to
run. When to run. All right, so we're going to talk about when it's time to run. How should people, how do you know when it's time to get out of that job and start looking for a new one? I'm not one of those people to say, oh, God is telling you to be an entrepreneur. No, God may tell you just to go and be another employee somewhere else. Right. So when would you say, in your practice, in your experience in employment law, when is the best time to say, deuces, I'm out? And what should people do that they don't burn bridges? And also, how do they prepare for exiting a company or exiting a situation?
Yes. So I like the way you phrase that. When's the best time to say deuces, right? And I like that because when I'm advising employees on this question of whether they should leave and when they should leave, what I'm essentially doing is trying to help them understand the value of their hand. What hand do you have? It's a cards analogy. We play spades, and you got a partner. You want your partner to be able to fully evaluate how many books they got accurately, right?
Yes, sir.
And you can't play the hand you wish you had. You got to pay the one you got.
Right.
So you got to know what leverage you have, what leverage you don't have, what the likelihood will be if you file an external complaint. Oftentimes, all it really does is buy you time for them to figure out some other reason to get rid of you, right? So you may have bought your time, which means you may have some time to find another opportunity, right? So the factors I ask folks to consider is like, all right, so if you're ready to leave, do you have another opportunity waiting for you, right?
True.
You may not want to push the internal lever on a complaint until you have a place to land first, right? That's an important consideration. How how much evidence do you have you collected already to support your case? It may make strategic sense to delay your exit until you've had more time to collect your evidence, right? Because once you decide to leave and you announce your resignation, or you give your 2 weeks notice, the company is immediately going to move to shut off all of your access to any evidence collecting platform, right? A lot of times they don't like you to hang out for another 2 weeks because they're going to assume that you're going to be collecting emails and the kinds of things that people reasonably would do to collect evidence of the wrongdoing that they're experiencing.
That happened
typically. Happened.
That happened where they said, "I'm willing to stay 2 weeks," and I was doing the right thing. It's like, yeah, I'll transition my role for a month, and it's like after the second week, they said, "Nah, Greg, it's good. You can go now, and we'll pay you the 2 weeks as goodwill. Thank you for your service. Goodbye." I quit. I didn't get fired, but yeah.
Right. So that is a risk management move. Okay, it's not that they liked you so much that they just wanted to give you an extra free 2 weeks. It's they were making a move to protect their interests. They didn't want to take the risk that you would be collecting information for 2 weeks, right?
Especially since I was going to their competitor. But anyway,
right. So that is just a very common response. So when you're deciding whether you're going to leave, you may need to wait until you've had actual time to collect the evidence, because the only other way you're going to get the evidence to prove your case is after you file a lawsuit and during the discovery process. In newsflash, companies oftentimes don't turn over the information even in the discovery process, even though they're supposed to. They would go through all kinds of gymnastics to avoid turning that information over. So about the most access you're ever going to really have to that information is while you're still there, right? Mm-hmm. So that may be a factor that you should consider in delaying the announcement of your departure. Yeah. Also, you might want to understand the company's severance policy, right? Maybe if the severance policy is, say, they give you 2 weeks of pay for every year you've been there, and it may be that if you wait 2 more weeks, you'll be in your second year and you would get a better severance, right? So the timing is important. What I'm trying to guide folks, I don't have the answers for everybody about what you should do.
Yeah.
What I'm giving you is the factors that you need to consider, right? So that you can come up with the answers on your own. Mm-hmm. Or come up with the answers in collaboration with, talking to an employment attorney. So, so here in a way, I know we've, kind of titled this podcast about, faith and law. For me, this book is responding to the biblical question of whether or not it's better to teach someone how to fish or fish on their behalf, right? And for me, this is teaching people how to fish. So, and I think that's the, for those who are considering maybe, purchasing something like this for the holidays, I think that's the most impactful gift you can ever give someone is knowledge. Because no one can ever take that from them.
Exactly.
So I'm wanting to make sure that good information and guidance is available to workers, union leaders, and HR, so they can make better decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think that would meet the mark of what I'm trying to accomplish with the book.
And we're going into a new year, man. Like, we want to talk about Bible. Let's talk Bible. You don't want to be putting new wine in old skins.
Right.
Right. You don't want to be. Sometimes a change will do you good. Sometimes that job has been destroying your soul. If you have a job that's perpetually, like tonight's Sunday night, And I've been there where I was at a job where Sunday evenings was the most depressing time of the week for me, right? Life is hard enough. Are you in a situation where you hate Monday mornings? Like, I'm not just talking like 50 or 52 Mondays in a year, and 51 of the 52 are the ones you hate. And the only ones that you like, the Mondays you like, are the ones that are like holiday Mondays where you start work on the Tuesday. So it's like, if you're perpetually in a state, it can affect you spiritually. It can affect your health. It can affect your mental health, physically, mentally, emotionally. You go to church angry at people because you're thinking about that job, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you need to leave. And maybe a new beginning is not only just for money and for paying for a different environment, but maybe it's a good spiritual move.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I endorse that message, because that's what I often tell my clients, is that you have to value your spirit and your health above everything else, right?
Yeah.
Because
that job will replace you if you like. If you die and you let that job kill you or make you go crazy, they'll just throw you down and just say, okay, next.
Oh yeah, in 2 weeks there'll be another you up in there, right? Doing that job. Probably quicker than that. So, it begs the question: so why are we killing ourselves, right? Or damn near killing ourselves to serve the purpose of a company who has made it clear that we are expendable, right?
Now, we're not, both of us, neither of us are saying, I agree with you, Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I want to be very clear is that if you're blessed to have a job, because many people in this here United States are unemployed because of the economy, I want to be very clear. There is joy in employment, and not every time, every week in your job or every day in your job is going to be great. We all know that. And if you have a job, do the best job that you possibly can be, right? Especially if you call yourself a believer. Do your work well. Do it with excellence. Do it like you're doing it for God and not for that boss.
Right.
However, there's some devils who have titles, and I believe in running from the devil. So if your employer is a devil,
man,
come see this Christian lawyer that can help you and get his book that can help you strategize on how to run away from that devil named boss. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Amen. Yes.
It can be complicated though, man, because even when you know that an environment that you're working in, a toxic environment, is impacting your health, you still have to weigh the fact that you got a family to take care of,
exactly,
who may be dependent on you. So you show up anyway because you need that paycheck. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's the only motivating factor of some jobs, is the check you get every 2 weeks. I can't stand who I work with. I can't stand my boss. I can't stand none of some people. That's how people feel. I'm blessed that I don't feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. But I have felt that way. I'm blessed that I found employers and team at a firm that I love, right? And for those of you who are coworkers of mine who are watching this, let me say it again. I love where I work. Let me say it again. I love my firm. I love my boss, my project manager, my team, my clients, everything. But it wasn't always that way with my previous employers, especially earlier in my career, more so earlier in my career. Yeah, so I understand. Yeah.
But I know from talking to you and knowing you that that you made some very true decisions about how to transition from one opportunity to next.
Right.
And so I'm just saying we need to be strategic about those transitions. We all get frustrated and want to throw up your hands and just say throw in the towel. But you don't necessarily have to choose one or the other. You can transition and land on your feet and do it in a way that sets you up nicely for the next opportunity. All right. Yeah. It just, oftentimes you need some guidance on how to do it. And that's what I'm trying to offer people.
Yeah. I've been blessed to work for amazing places. I've been cursed to work at some bad ones. But I can say that by the grace of God, I've never been fired. I've been laid off once, but I can say that I've always landed on my feet. And when I left that company, I left at the time when I was supposed to leave. I was not kicked out ever. But when I saw the writing on the wall, yeah, it's time to go now, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I needed guidance and help and career people to help me with making those decisions. And God wants us to operate in wisdom, not just in emotions, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why people like you are such a blessing. We're here with Arnold Lizana, the author of the book Workplace Jujitsu. One final question I want you to speak to my audience and give them 3 pieces of wisdom for someone who feels powerless right now. Someone who tomorrow's going to be December and the last 11 months were hell. They're looking for a change. They don't know whether or not to make a move out of their job. Stick it out. Seek complaints through legal means. Just walk away. They don't know what to do, and they actually feel powerless at their job. They feel like the little guy that keeps getting stepped on. Speak to that person. Give them like 3 pieces of advice that you could share with them.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what's worked for me. I've been in situations where I've felt powerless. Or at least kind of at a disadvantage. And the thing that I've always kept front and center for me is first, just counting my blessings. There's always so many blessings before us that it's easy to lose sight of when you're going through a tough time.
Amen.
And the biggest thing I like to come back to is the fact that I know that where I stand now is the result of all the sacrifices of ancestors that came before me, right? So the things that I think are problems and challenges now pale in comparison to some of the things that our forebears had to deal with in order for us to work at these places, right?
Amen. Yes, sir.
So I always look backwards just for the purpose of appreciating where I am, right? And then also drawing on the strength that I know exists in our ancestry, right? So I just say, hey, if Big Mama and Big Daddy could do that under severely disadvantages like Jim Crow and things like that, then certainly with all the access to information and education I've acquired right now, I can figure this out, right? And so that usually is enough to kind of shake me out of my pity party, right? And then you really do have to take the effort to get some advice, right? There's always going to be folks that can see your situation a little bit more clearly than you can because they're not in it. They have an outside the fishbowl perspective that may give them a better perspective to share with you, right? So don't be shy about reaching out for help, right? We all need help. This idea that we're alone and we're isolated and no one's going to help us, it's a false narrative. There's always people that are available to help you. You just have to take stock of who they are and how you reach them, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the third thing, and it may sound general, but it really is what I always try to do, is take a full assessment of your terrain, the power players, and come up with a strategic plan for how you're going to fight to protect yourself or move on, right? And we're capable of it, right? The same intelligence and hard working ethic that you had that got you the job is the same talent that you're drawing on to protect yourself. It's just now you're using it for yourself, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing selfish about it. You have to preserve yourself, not for your own health, but not just for your own health, but for the people that depend on you, right? So, and there are employment lawyers who, like myself, who specialize in helping employees all across the country, and this is all we do, all right? And there's a lot of good employment attorneys that can really help you get some solid advice about what to do. Don't wait until it gets super, super bad to call an attorney, right? Attorneys are best equipped to help you when you can anticipate that some things are about to happen. And then they can give you great advice on how to navigate those things that you think are about to happen. Yeah. Sometimes people waiting until the stuff hits the fan, they may actually be calling too late for an attorney to be impactful. And then, of course, you can read my book. You know, there's a lot of great information in there that I think could help folks navigate conflict in the workplace and land on their feet.
Awesome. Professor Arnold, thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast and being a part of this this moment here. I'm so proud of you, of your accomplishments with your law firm and this book, and we pray that you have even more success. The city of Atlanta is blessed to have you, and continue fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
No problem. Let's put the book back up to see what it looks like, and we'll put the link as well. The link being workplacejujitsu.com is where you can order the book. It's eponymous with the title of the book, workplacejujitsu.com, and how to protect yourself from HR. You need to get this in your arsenal if you are one of said people that need to make a move and recognize that HR is not always in your favor. So please, and if you need some legal consultation, you can go to Attorney Lizana. He's worked. Now you are licensed in Georgia, just Georgia?
Georgia and Massachusetts, but I work with a network of attorneys. We do work nationwide.
Okay, so if you're particularly in Georgia or in Massachusetts, you can contact him for legal advice, and he can also refer you to the right lawyer or legal services in your state. So this is awesome work. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. On Thursday, we're going to conclude our theme of my faith and the law with yours truly. I will be doing a closing, I guess you could say a sermon, but I like to say it a devotional thought. It's the title of the message is already pre-programmed. It's going to be called God's Courtroom, Not Guilty. So you don't want to miss out on the Thursday's message, and then we'll start a brand new theme of which I will announce on Thursday. If you enjoy this broadcast, the best thing that you could do is subscribe to the channel. So anyone who's new, please subscribe to the YouTube and Facebook. And also we accept seed offerings into this ministry by going on Cash App or PayPal. The Cash App QR code is on the bottom right of the screen. Do QR code, and we accept any amount, $5, $10, $15, $1,000 if you have it, would be greatly accepted with this ministry, but we'll also accept $2. But you can also get your merch, books, and anything else, Motivation Moments, at our company, Sister Pamela Publishing. The Black Friday sale ends Wednesday. Get all of our titles from myself and my wife, and also our apparel at least 20% off. A mug, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a book, paperback, or ebook. You can get our signature titles, 522 Man, which is the merger of biblical manhood and the fruits of the Spirit. And you can also get Rooted in Boldness, my wife's best-selling book, which talks about imperfect women that have extraordinary faith. So please pick up those products at 20% or more off at sisterpanelpublishing.com, and also sow a seed into our ministry. Until next time, thank you, Arnold. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving. And as we close out this year, close it out with power and know that if God be for you, who can be against you? Be encouraged, be inspired, and be motivated. We will see you on Thursday. God bless.
Hey, listen, if you in your car, if you with your family, if you in the backyard having a cookout, I need you to turn this all the way up because it's about to go live. Woo! This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the show can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the show can't take it away. I know you see the light and how it shines. I'm a child of God, why you look surprised? I'm super fly, I won't apologize. Cause I won't give favor, I got flavor. Salt of the earth, I can't lose my savor. Jesus Christ, yeah, that's my savior. Eyes on the cross, I don't see no hate. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Yeah, yeah. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I won't go. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. I didn't give it to me. And the show can't take it away. The show can't take it away. No, no. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. I didn't give it to me. The show can't take it away. The show can't take it away. No, no. I faced a lot of things in my lifetime, but God stepped in at the right time. Picked me up when I was down. Nothing can stop me now. Never see the righteous forsaken. Everything that I suffered has taught me patience. All my help, it comes from you. You're the only one that pulled me through. So refreshed, I've been renewed. Feel like I just can't lose. Joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the show can't take it away. This joy that I have, yeah, yeah. The world didn't give it to me, I didn't give it to me. The show can't take it away. The show can't take it away. No, no. This what I need y'all to do for me. I need you to forget about your problems, grab your loved one by the hand, and take them to the dance floor.